Welcome to part 2 of this lesson, analysing a scene from a film. If you haven't watched part 1, go and watch it now and you'll be ready to watch this lesson. In part 1, we identified a number of film techniques of the opening scene of Slumdog Millionaire. Now we're going to move on to interpreting the use of these film techniques and evaluating the filmmaker's decisions. Okay, so it's time for some interpretation. What does all the evidence we gathered in the first video mean when we put it together? It seems to me that the filmmakers are trying to really highlight the differences and the similarities between the two scenes. In one scene, Jamal is being interrogated. In the other, he's on a game show, so of course they're going to be different. This is what makes the suggestion of similarity really interesting. So let's think about those similarities. He's being asked questions, and I think his facial expressions show that he's incredibly uncomfortable in both situations. I know some people dread being in front of a huge audience, so maybe being on the game show is torture for Jamal. We might even say that both of these scenes are interrogation scenes. So, to evaluate this scene, we need to ask if the techniques are being used effectively. Let's consider the smash cuts first. I find the sudden nature of these really jarring. They give me a bit of a jolt. And the dirty yellow colour makes me feel a little bit yucky. The contrast in the sound from no background noise to full-on background noise is also really disorienting. In short, all these techniques together make me feel kind of rubbish. But when I think about my interpretation of this scene, the main character feels like he's being tortured in both the interrogation and the game show. Me feeling rubbish kind of makes sense. People feel really rubbish when they're being tortured, so it makes sense that the filmmakers want me to get that vibe in this scene. It helps me properly understand how the main character feels. In fact, feeling nice and comfortable during a torture scene would be pretty disturbing. So, whilst watching this scene isn't nice, I certainly think it's effective. It's achieved its purpose of helping me to empathise with the main character. Here's a table summarising my notes so far. Let's turn some of these thoughts into an analysis of the scene. The opening scene of Slumdog Millionaire compares Jamal's appearance on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire to his interrogation. Smash cuts are used to switch between his interrogation, which is so quiet we can hear Jamal breathe, and it's saturated with a dirty yellow colour, and the brightly lit game show, which is full of background noise. These sudden cuts unexpectedly jolt the audience between the two events. Additionally, the filmmakers use graphic matches when changing from shots of the game show to shots of the interrogation. For example, a shot of the game show host reaching to touch Jamal's shoulder abruptly cuts to a shot of the interrogator slapping Jamal's face. Close-ups of Jamal's face are also graphically matched, his wide eyes and open mouth showing his confusion in both situations. This draws attention to the similarities between the scenarios. In both, he is continually being asked questions and feels incredibly uncomfortable. The audience is shown that for Jamal, being a contestant on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is just as awful as being interrogated. Additionally, the audience feels his confusion and discomfort because of the jarring nature of the smash cuts and the unpleasant nature of the visuals. This draws the audience into empathising with Jamal. So there you have it, my analysis of the opening scene of Slumdog Millionaire. There are plenty of other ways to analyse this scene, but I strongly recommend following this protocol as you attempt to analyse your own scenes. Identify, describe, interpret, evaluate. This will give you plenty to write about and include in your analysis. Thanks for listening, we hope to see you back here soon, and don't forget to check out our rival channel, Al and Robbo's Amazing Maths and Science channel.